Coming up on Evening Edition.
As SIU has recognized October 15th through the 20th, 2018 as Homecoming Week.
The mayor of Carbondale officially proclaims the start of Homecoming Week, plus a classic plane flies into Veterans Airport, and President Trump takes action over the missing journalist in Saudi Arabia. Live from Southern Illinois University, you're watching River Region Evening Edition.
A memorial service for SIU Carbondale Chancellor Carla Montemagno is scheduled for next week. Good evening, I'm Devin Dahm.
And I'm Jacob Gordon. The service for the late Chancellor will be next Tuesday, the 23rd at 1 p.m. in Shryock Auditorium. Montemagno died unexpectedly Thursday morning. He was diagnosed with cancer last summer and underwent extensive treatment. It is unknown what is the cause of death.
This week is homecoming, and SIU officially kicked it off with a ceremony today at the Student Center. Athletic Director Jerry Kill held a moment of silence in honor of Chancellor Montemagno. Homecoming court candidates started lobbying for votes as king and queen, and Carbondale Mayor Mike Henry issued a proclamation underscoring the importance of SIU to the community.
I also wanted to brand the city of Carbondale as a home to Southern Illinois University. And whereas the city of Carbondale and Southern Illinois University at Carbondale continues their commitment to work together to promote a mutually beneficial partnership.
SIU homecoming festivities continue this week with a blood drive, food drive, a pep rally leading up to the homecoming parade and football game on Saturday.
The City of Carbondale and Carbondale Chamber of Commerce will hold a ribbon-cutting ceremony to celebrate the completion of Phase 2 of the Downtown Streetscape Improvements Project. The Phase 2 includes the area from Cherry Street to the north side of City Hall. City officials say the main purpose is to make Carbondale more inviting. The ribbon-cutting ceremony will be held Friday at 4:30 in front of City Hall. And the City of Carbondale will begin sewer work along Oak Street from Tuesday, October 23rd. During the work, Wall Street will be closed through traffic from Main Street to Walker Avenue from October 23rd through the 24th. The intersection of Wall Street and Oak Street will also be closed those 2 days.
Governor Bruce Rauner announced today that nearly $1.6 million has been awarded for recreational trail development in Illinois. The Touch of Nature Center will receive $200,000 to construct a 5-mile multi-use mountain bike trail. The new trail will eventually be part of a 30-mile park. These trails will be easily accessible to mountain bikers, hikers, and trail runners. And the Mississippi River is rising in eastern Missouri as water levels along the Missouri River fall. The National Weather Service says the Mississippi River is expected to crest early Tuesday in Hannibal at more than 8 feet above flood stage, disrupting railroad tracks and several businesses in the southwest part of the city. Now, flood walls are also expected to close as the river crests Tuesday in St. Louis and Friday in Cape Girardeau, although no serious flooding is expected in either city.
We have seen a lot of rain so far this fall.
Yes, we have, and it's been especially gloomy. I hope that Zach has some better news for us coming up later this week.
Well, thank you, Devin, and you're right, it has been very gloomy, kind of cold too. If we can see tonight, it's going to be 43 degrees, partially cloudy, and those clouds aren't going away tomorrow morning, and it's not getting any warmer. 37 as the sun rises, and in midday it's going to be 49 with total cloud coverage. So fall is in full effect, friends. The clouds might be here to stay, and I'll have your 5-day forecast and more when you come back later.
Thanks, Zach. Henry Ford is known for making cars, but did you know he also designed airplanes?
Evening Edition's Patrick Cotto has more on the rare aircraft and its trip to Southern Illinois last weekend.
Trident motor made its way to Marion as folks got an opportunity to ride the plane. Although Marion was not originally on the map for this landing.
It generally goes to some larger metropolitan areas because it gets a little more exposure. One of the reasons we brought it to Marion is because of my affiliation with the B-17. Well, they found themselves with a gap in the calendar, and it was between stops, and I said, hey, why don't we bring it down here and give it a try and let people see.
This plane was designed by Henry Ford as his goal was to make this plane safe for all passengers.
So engines were not most reliable, so he insisted to have 3 engines as safety means. The airplane is such that any one engine can fail and it will continue to fly on any 2. He hired a designer to design this airplane, and then he mass produced it. And he built 199 Ford Tri-Motors over a 5-year period.
Now that you know the history of this plane, why not take a ride? This plane goes up to 1,000 feet in the air, burning up to 60 gallons an hour as the money goes towards the Liberty Aviation Museum.
I'd love to give free rides forever, but we have to charge for the tickets and make some money. The airplane belongs to a museum, so all the funds that we raise here go to support the airplane and the museum.
For the passengers that got the experience, they hope to ride again soon.
I just really enjoyed it. I enjoyed seeing everything from the window and snapping pictures and watching the plane land, and this was pretty fun.
For Evening Edition, I'm Patrick Cotto.
Now the plane is on an American tour and will make its next stop in Rogers, Arkansas.
The Welcome Home event for the 4th Veterans Honor Flight is tomorrow at Veterans Airport in Marion. Food trucks and local entertainment will be on hand as the veterans return after their day in Washington, and the public is invited to come out and help welcome the veterans home. A portion of all food sales will be donated to the Veterans Honor Flight.
And head on Evening Edition, a famous retail chain filed for bankruptcy today.
Plus, President Trump landed in Florida to see the damage of Hurricane Matthew. You're watching Evening Edition at 5. Sources say the Saudis are preparing a report that will acknowledge that the death of a Washington Post columnist was the result of an interrogation that went wrong. It was intended to lead to his abduction from Turkey.
A source also says the report will likely conclude that it was carried out without clearance. Meanwhile, President Trump dispatched Secretary of State Mike Pompeo to Saudi Arabia today. Karen Kafa has more from Washington.
President Trump vowing to leave nothing uncovered regarding Jamal Khashoggi's disappearance, but says he spoke with the Saudi leader and he has denied involvement.
I don't want to get into his mind, but it sounded to me like maybe these could have been rogue killers. Who knows? We're going to try getting to the bottom of it very soon, but his was a flat denial.
Trump also on Monday sent Secretary of State Mike Pompeo to Saudi Arabia to meet with King Salman. Khashoggi has not been seen since he entered the Saudi consulate in Istanbul on October 2nd. The Saudis say he left shortly after. Turkish investigators were inside for the first time on Monday. President Trump told 60 Minutes that there would be severe punishment if the Washington Post columnist and Saudi critic was found to be killed. Members of Congress want a forceful response.
If in fact the Saudis lured him into that consulate, murdered him, cut up his body, and disposed of it, there was going to be a very strong congressional response.
We need clarity from the president saying you can't kill people in foreign countries. You can't kill people without a trial.
Saudi Arabia faces diplomatic and economic pressure from the West. The UK, France, and Germany have demanded a credible investigation, and a number of key figures have pulled out of a major investment summit in Riyadh later this month. In Washington, I'm Karen Kafa.
President Trump visited Florida today to see the firsthand damage after Hurricane Michael. The president and First Lady landed in Lynn Haven, Florida this afternoon. Over 20,000 people are still without power in 7 states. Over 30 are still missing in Mexico Beach.
This hit so hard and so fast that the different aspect of human nature is going to come out, and people are going to do anything to survive.
Now the cleanup has begun, but it will take some time before life can return to normal in the affected area.
President Trump is backtracking on his offer to donate $1 million to charity if Senator Elizabeth Warren provided DNA proof she is Native American. Warren released the results of a DNA analysis today showing she has distant Native American ancestry. Warren tweeted this morning that Trump could send the check to the National Indigenous Women's Resource Center, but Trump denied ever making that wager.
What is your reaction to Senator Elizabeth Warren releasing the results of her DNA test?
No, I have no. Who cares?
Mr. President, you said you paid $1 million to charity.
I didn't say that. You better read it again.
Warren first faced scrutiny for her alleged Native American heritage during her 2012 Senate race.
2 women and 1 man are dead after a shooting in North Las Vegas Sunday night. Police believe the shooting happened in a parking lot and are still looking for the suspect. They say this may not have been a random act of violence. The identities of the victims have not yet been released. And at least 40 people were hurt in a California bus crash on Sunday. The accident happened on the 405 freeway in North Hills area. The 25 people were taken to the hospital, 5 of them having serious injuries. It's unclear what caused the crash.
The once dominant retail chain Sears has filed for bankruptcy today. The company, which has been around for 132 years, has had financial issues for the past few years and has major debts, and announced closure of many of its stores earlier this year, including its one in Marion. Sears was unable to pay a $134 million debt payment, which was due Monday. Dozens of major retailers have been struggling in the years since Amazon took wing. And the British royal family is growing. Kensington Palace confirmed Monday morning that Meghan Markle, the Duchess of Sussex, is pregnant with her first child. The Queen and other members of the royal family congratulated Meghan and Harry Friday at Princess Eugenie's wedding. The baby is expected next spring.
And fans from all over came to see singer Jesse McCartney perform on SIU's campus this weekend.
Evening Edition's Madeline Parker has more.
Jesse McCartney fans were right where they wanted to be Saturday night when the man himself performed at Shryock Auditorium on the Southern Illinois University campus.
I'm pretty excited, not gonna lie. I hope that he'll sing Leavin', Beautiful Soul, and Right Where You Want Me.
And Jesse explained why he likes performing for college students.
It's just exciting. A lot of my fans are in college, and I get to test out a lot of new material that hasn't necessarily come out yet, and just kind of a way for me to engage with the fans.
McCartney hasn't released an album since 2014, but he's still hard at work in the studio.
I have probably 5 or 6 new records, and so at the very least there'll be an EP next year, but right now I'm just focusing on a song at a time.
And speaking of new material, Jesse not only sang fan favorites like She's No You and How Do You Sleep, but also a new song called Selfless. And in terms of ticket sales, general admission sold 1,035 tickets, but pit tickets and meet and greets were sold out. And if you didn't get a chance to see Jesse on Saturday, he has some good news for you.
I'm touring again next January. I'm doing the Resolution Tour, January, February, around the country. And probably next year, I will travel abroad too and do some more international touring.
For Evening Edition, I'm Madeline Parker.
After the show ended, the fans convinced Jesse to come back and sing his breakout hit, Beautiful Soul.
And it was a cool and cloudy day across the river region. Is the sunshine going to return? Zach has a look at your forecast next.
But first, on Wall Street, stocks ended the day with negative results. The nightly business report has more coming up next at 5:30.
Hello and welcome back to River Region. I'm Zach Warhus with your weather update. As you can see right now, it's partially cloudy with 43 degrees, dew points at 37, and humidity is at 78%. Weighted wind today out of the northwest, about 10 miles an hour, and a barometer was sitting where it normally sits, around 30.28 degrees. If we look, we can see we didn't even get close to our high today. Today we are, our average even. Today our high was 45 degrees, the low of 36, well below our average of 71 and 44, not even getting close to the record of 91 and 24 on the low end. Of course, a high record was set in 1939. And if we can see, the rest of the region was pretty cold today as well. Belleville clocking in at 46 as well, Cape Girardeau. Carbondale at 45, Marion at 44, Evansville was also at 44, and Paducah was at 47. And the sun was not seen at all today in the river region. It was cloudy everywhere. If we can blow it up to the rest of the world, we can see that it was pretty cold, and this cold front is moving from the northwest to the southeast. We can see it's in the blue areas here. That's in the 40s, south of 50. As we can see, the only place that's left that's really experiencing this summer is the southeast, but it's going to be dragged down there. If we go to our next then we can see that there's a cold front as well. The cold front is going to be bringing the fall to the rest of the nation. This little high pressure system sitting right here above Nebraska and Oklahoma is going to be pushing that cold all the way over here. If you see this little green line right here, this is the rain that we were experiencing a few days ago. It's going to be dragging along with that cold front down to the southeast, bringing the fall to the rest of the nation. Tonight we're going to be partially cloudy with a low of 36, so it might get pretty cold, and in the next couple of days we are actually going to be seeing a freeze warning, so definitely want to put the gloves on as it gets colder. Sunset's going to be at 6:19 with a wind north out of north 6 miles an hour. Tomorrow morning for your bus stop, it's going to be 37 degrees, so very cold for the kids. Definitely going to want to put on your winter jackets, winter clothes. Partially cloudy, not a lot of sun is going to be able to warm it up. Tomorrow we're going to see partially cloudy. It's going to get up to 57, so definitely they'll be able to take off their jackets at school. 50% humidity and a nice little mild wind. The sunrise is going to be at 7:05 a.m. And tomorrow night we're going to see partially cloudy, temperatures going back down to 40. Wind out of the west at 4 miles an hour, and the sunset's going to be at 6:18. And if we look, this is our big story, is the 5-day weather outlook. We can see that it's going to be in the 50s, 60 on Wednesday with a little bit of sun. And on Friday, we're going to have partial showers, mostly in the afternoon. There's no two ways about it. That's what it is.
Yeah, this time last week, we were complaining about the hot 85-degree weather. This week, we're talking like in the 30s, 40s, and clouds.
Yeah.
So
It's dropped down. Like we wanted it to drop, but like not this much. We needed it to slowly go down. Are we having any like freeze warnings coming up?
Yeah, we do have a freeze warning coming up. So as it gets later and colder in the evenings, it's definitely going to get down below that freezing point. And I mean, couple that with the overflowing of the rivers, it's going to be a rough fall. At least a rough transition into fall, for sure.
Exactly.
All right, well, thank you, Zach.
Thank you, guys.
And now here's Ryan Davis with a preview of what's coming up next in sports. Ryan.
Get ready, sports fans, because coming up, we will be taking a look at Salukis football game this weekend. And not only that, but we'll dive into volleyball as well. Stay tuned. SIU football faced a tough task on Saturday trying to win on the road against a ranked Illinois State team. A competitive first quarter was broken wide open by the Redbirds in the second, totaling a 31-0 lead at the half and holding SIU to only 90 yards rushing. The Dogs couldn't find any answers in the second half, though, and dropped their fifth straight, 51-3. Their next chance for a first conference win is homecoming against Indiana State. The weekend homestand brought Northern Iowa and Drake to town to take on the Salukis. The Dogs were able to take a set from the Panthers. The first set in conference play, the Salukis won, and only the third set dropped by UNI. The Panthers, however, would win in 4. A gritty defensive game on Saturday was tightly contested, but Drake topped SIU for their first win in Carbondale since 2010. SIU is back on the road for matches against Illinois State and Bradley. And the final cross-country meet of the regular season took place on Friday as the Salukis traveled to Peoria for the Bradley Classic. SIU women finished 28th of 39 teams in the 6K race, with Maddie Hunt and Sydney Matusik setting new personal records. The men's team collectively placed 16th out of 33 schools in the 8K race and saw redshirt senior Josh Mayer finish 3rd overall. The Dogs returned to Bradley University for the MVC Conference Championships on October 26th. The women's MVC preview is also underway, and the Salukis currently are tied for second. All teams are in the middle of their second rounds, and the Dogs trail Bradley by 5 strokes. SIU is currently led individually by sophomore Emily McGiles. McGiles is tied for 5th, shooting 9 over par. The tournament finishes up tomorrow, and the Salukis will compete in their last fall tournament next week. And heartbreak in Chicago as the Bears dropped an overtime thriller to Miami. The Bears used a big second half to put themselves in position for the win, but some late game blunders, including a missed field goal in overtime, ultimately doomed the Bears, who lost 31-28. At 3-2, the Bears still lead the division and play host to Tom Brady and the Patriots next Sunday. The divisional series may not have produced some good matchups, but the championship series are. Both matchups are tied at a game apiece going into Game 3. The Brewers held serve at home in Game 1 before dropping Game 2 late. The Astros, meanwhile, scored an upset at Fenway in the AL Game 1, but Boston bowed back to tie up the series last night. Tonight continues with the NL Series, with the Dodgers hosting Milwaukee with a pivotal series lead on the line. And high school playoffs are only a short time away, and River Region is going to bring you the action. We want you to help us decide which games we cover each week. The poll is up on our social media, and it's between DeQuoin and Murfreesboro or Carbondale at Harrisburg. The poll closes Thursday at noon, and the winner will be announced on Thursday's show. So what do you guys think about the poll? Who do you think will win between the two teams?
Looking at the poll, since just before the broadcast, I looked at the poll, and I think it was Carbondale and Harrisburg. were in the lead right now. So maybe you might be going there.
All right, to Carbondale I'll go.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Ryan. And are the cool temperatures sticking around for the rest of the week? Zach has a final check of your forecast next.
But first, as we head to break, be sure to follow us on social media at River Region News and check out our website for more local content. We'll be right back.
Finally tonight, California authorities used Doritos to corral a runaway pig.
The swine, described as the size of a mini horse, was spotted in a San Bernardino neighborhood over the weekend. Quick thinking, deputies grabbed the bag of chips from a lunch bag and made a trail for the pig to follow. Luckily for them, he was hungry, and soon enough the pig was safe and sound back home.
I mean, I can't blame him, because if someone was just throwing Doritos at me, I would probably chase them too.
I would too, but I just would never have thought to use Doritos to lure a pig.
I couldn't read this story without thinking, and the little pig went wee, wee, wee all the way home. All right, so let's check in one last look at weather with Zach.
All right, as we can see, guys, it's going to be in the highs say 50, but those are going to deceive you because, like today, we've been near the lows, honestly. Wednesday, we're going to have our spot of sun, but that's going to be it for a while. Friday, we're going to have some PM showers, and it's going to be cloudy for the rest of the day. On Saturday, we have the highest temperature of the week other than Wednesday, but nothing really to get too excited about. We're into fall. It's happening. We knew this was going to happen, but it's never easy when it gets here.
Yeah, of course. Well, thank you, Zach. Time to bundle up and be happy.
Okay, exactly. All right, thanks, Zach. Thank you for joining us tonight. The Nightly Business Report is up next. I'm Jacob Gordon.
And I'm Devin Dom. For Zach Morris, Ryan Davis, and all the students who work on Evening Edition, have a good night.